All right, just got to make sure we're on. Yeah, okay, all right. All right, thank you so much for tuning in. I am your humble narrator. My name is Danny, and this is the Common Rule Podcast. All right, guys, so how you been, man? I hope you guys are staying healthy. I hope you guys are clean, washing your hands, staying out of harm's way, and overall fucking trying to deal with this oh man, these fucking crazy times that are happening. You know what, man? I tell you what, let's before what I was gonna do is I had this whole thing planned out, and I really wanted to talk about hypocrisy and how that spills over. And I think I might have mentioned something about that before. But as far as hypocrisy and what we do versus what we can control versus what we cannot control, and what our due diligence is to be able to work with people. And I had this whole serious tone full of shit that I was going to get into. But I'm going to save that for another day. You know, fucking whatever. All right. So there's a lot of shit happening right now. I'm recording this in the wee hours of the morning on the 31st of May. And it is there's a lot of shit happening out there. But you know what? Let me ramble on for a bit before we get down to brass tacks. You know what I'm saying? Well, right now, hey, I'm all caught up on the Lion King. Not the Lion King. The Tiger King. You guys seen this shit? Man, I tell you what. I don't know what to think about that thing, man. Hey, I'm probably late to the party on this because I think a lot of you fucking watched it like the second it came out. I waited for a little bit. I didn't even know what the hell this was. You see all the memes, the Carol Baskin or whatever did it and this, that, and the other. I held up on that for a while. But I did end up fucking finally watching the whole thing. And yes, I did binge watch it because, because one does when one watches a Tiger King. And, I have my thoughts on that. I think it's, I don't know. As far as storytelling goes, oh man, it's a decent story. It's entertaining is what it is. Could I gone the rest of my life without knowing who the fuck the Tiger King was? Yeah, probably. I don't know if they're going to make another one or not. You guys are probably better informed on that shit than I am, but what I wanted to point out, though, and bitch and moan about it for a little bit, is this. That, as a documentary, I thought it was very well produced. I thought that it was... the story obviously flowed, and it was a professional type of documentary, of course. But I think as far as when I compared to some other documentaries that are, let's just say, just as hyped up, I think that on the production side of it, it holds up very well. I was very impressed with that, and the way that it was edited and cut out, I loved it. As opposed to the other side of the coin of a story that I really was emotional and that really cut deep, but that I think that the production of this fucking other documentary didn't do it any justice, and that's the trials of Gabriel Fernandez. I believe that's the kid's name. And that's a more gripping story, emotional, of course, of what happened, but there are a lot of layers to the story itself. However, the way the documentary was cut up and presented, I didn't dig that at all, man. I thought it did the story disservice. There's a lot of bullshit in that documentary that didn't need to be in there. And I really got irritated on that documentary. There was a lot more to draw away from the true story than I would have liked. At the end of the day, I'm glad that I saw it, but it could have been done better. and as opposed to this Tiger King thing happening where the story was, basically one big cartoon, and it was very well produced. I thought it was, in the end, cool, but whatever. I'm good with that. I'm good with being entertained either way. And that's Anyway, that's what I've been doing. The other thing I've been doing is learning a little bit about making K-cups, coffee sort of thing. I've borrowed a K-cup, to say the least. I'm not going to tell you how I got it because the owner probably wanted it back. But I've borrowed one. I bought a bunch of different K-cups. I wanted to see what this thing's all about. And man, I tell you what, I'm stoked on this. So I didn't know that the K-cups, they sell hot chocolate too. So I'm doing like half hot chocolates and half coffees that are, dude, it's like one of my favorite things now. And I learned how to froth milk in the microwave too. And that's pretty, YouTube that in case you don't know, but that was a game changer for me as well. I thought that was like, oh my God, you mean I can have my own lattes at home without having to pay an arm and a leg for them? You know what? Before this, I wouldn't drink a latte, but now that I make them at home, man, I'm all about them. Fucking new doors and new experiences. So I'm on this coffee kick. Turns out, I guess that the coffee, and like I said, I'm not a huge coffee drinker, and I don't know all the lingos and what coffees and shit like that. I got a variety pack, and I'm seeing what's good and what's not. But I do notice that there are some brands of coffee out there that in the little, thingies, the little K-cups, and they have like double caffeine revved up. I'm like, man. So I bought a box, and we'll see. To be honest, I haven't like really got into the big difference about it, but I'm sure I'll feel it later on. Or, God forbid they got triple caffeine or quadruple caffeine shit. I don't know. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I might give those a shot. And that's not to say that I'm not trying to tell you I'm some sort of crazy caffeine addict, but I was curious because not a lot of people. I didn't go out and do a fucking survey. That's wrong, and I'm not saying a lot of people or, the majority of the people. That shit's bullshit. The people that I've personally encountered have said that they wish the K-cups had more caffeine or more kick to them. And that's all I'm saying. And so I wanted to see if anyone tried the double caffeinated Monster, whatever, K-cups, and see if that made a difference to anyone. And to be honest, I really can't tell the whole bunch of difference. I like the donut blend so far. I don't see if you buy the name brand shit, dude, it's like hella expensive. When you buy the Kroger brand, it ain't so much. And again, I love the little mix that I do with the Kroger and the Kroger hot chocolate, and then the Kroger donut blend. That's pretty cool. I like that. So yeah, I'm doing that right now. Let's see. The other thing, obviously, what I'm going into is I'm podcasting finally, because I finally got this place set up. Now, again, it's been a while since I last posted something, so our journey so far is we got rid of the place that I was living at before, no longer live there. However, the place that I was going to move into, there was some complications, to make a fucking long story short, to where I couldn't move in right away, so I had to be a bum, and I was couch surfing. Again, thank you, Des, for letting me crash on the couch for a while. And so while we were on lockdown, I couldn't set anything up, and I didn't want to I couldn't podcast with the frequency that I wanted to because I didn't have a stable place to do so. Now I do. I finally set up. I couldn't wait to podcast, and I figured out a new setup that I like as far as being able to back up my podcast at the same time as recording it on the computers and being able to, talking to a fucking microphone all by myself in a room full of shit, man. Dude, so I've been trying to move into this place here for like 3 weeks now, maybe almost 4. And dude, it looks like I'm a fucking hoarder here. There's the podcasting, quote unquote, podcasting room right now it's just barely me in a chair that fits into a corner of the room where I have the microphone and the recorder and the laptop set up. It looks terrible. And I had the maintenance guy had to come in for a second, and I was embarrassed. I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, it's a progress. It's a art in progress. It's a work in progress. And that's just this room. The quote unquote living room, kitchen area, it is fucked. I mean, so here's what I did though. Before I get into that, so the bedroom in this apartment, I said, fuck this. This is going to be the podcasting room. I'm going to set up the computers and the workstation here, and along with a bunch of other shit that I have, and the quote-unquote Juan Minuto studio machine making thing. And I'm going to actually, what the living room is, that's where I'm going to set up my bed, and I'm going to treat it like a studio apartment with a storage unit applied to it. So that's what I'm doing. The kitchen, of course, is the kitchen, but the living room is actually my bedroom, and the bedroom is actually the podcasting room / music room / photo editing room. And I think I can probably turn it. There's a little closet in the back, and I think I can make it a dark room. I have to figure out the water situation. The bathroom is set up to where there's actually no windows, and if I shut the light out and maybe even put a curtain in the entryway, it'll be good enough to set up a red light in there in a dark room to print shit in there. So I'm going to see what that's all about here. That'll probably happen in a couple of months because it's taking me a while here. I'm still hobbling along on my foot. So it'll be a while before I can move freely and be able to set shit up. There's some stuff still in storage. I had 2 storage units, but one of them is finally cleared out, and the other one is fucking packed with mostly photography stuff and stuff for a studio for a podcasting room, like a big ass couch and shit like that. So again, work in progress. But the podcasting thing is set up so that I can fucking talk to myself and out into the big void, and hopefully a couple of you listening and get someone to entertain and maybe throw some useful information your way about this, about creating and the creative process and what have yous and shit like that. So we'll see. I'm getting... One of the things, actually, as this Ronas thing, the last thing that I said on the last episode, I think it was the last episode, maybe the one before it, was I talked about how interviewing people, to me, was all about face-to-face sort of thing. And it still is. However, there's going to be some sort of... I got to do some compromising because... I don't see this thing going over anytime soon to where I personally feel safe in someone else's presence that's less than 6 feet away. Of course, I don't want to keep bringing it up, but my health isn't, I don't think my immune system is at 100% just yet. I don't feel like I feel like it will get there eventually if it's not there already. However, I can't be taking chances with this fucking thing out there. I wear a mask. I practice social distancing. And I think today was the first day I went out in 2 days. Maybe I did, maybe I don't, but I don't remember. But I don't plan on going anywhere tomorrow. Tomorrow is Sunday. Well, technically today is Sunday. Monday I don't. I only go out to pick up groceries and packages, and maybe once in a while get something to eat, because I haven't been able to cook. All my shit is everywhere. But slowly and surely, the kitchen is starting to come together. My Instapots are getting lined up, and soon we will be cooking with not gas, but electricity. There's no gas here. It's all electricity. But yeah, my cast iron pots are out and cleaned and dried and oiled up, ready to go. And the Instapots are just about ready to go, and I just need to organize all my spices and shit like that. And I finally got beans from the Kroger's, the fries out here. Man, I was getting worried. And luckily I had some beans already packed away, but the problem is I was trying to get another 4-pound bag of beans, or any bag of beans, pinto beans. I got all the black beans. I like black beans, but I wanted to get some pinto beans. And it was nope. And finally, a couple weeks ago, I got beans. So pinto beans are all set, ready to go. I have some canned beans. Don't worry about me trying to starve. I know you guys are out there, man. I hope he gets his beans, but no, I got them. They're good. But yeah, I finally got those in, and my ingredients for the most part are all here, to where I don't have to go out, to where I can start cooking. And using my Instapots that you guys know that I love so much, and that I highly recommend anybody and everybody to start using their Instapots and go out and get one, especially during these times, you know. So that's, again, the place is still a shithole, but I got a place to sleep, and I got a place to record a podcast, and soon I'll have a place to have Juan Minuto start recording some fucking nasty ass blues guitar riffs. And we'll be those are the most important things. And then I got to start editing, and finally working on that documentary that I was supposed to work on. I don't think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but back in 2006, I went I have footage from between 2005, I believe, and 2007. Of Transfer, a band in San Diego. If you guys listen in Phoenix, there was a band in San Diego that, awesome band that I just got to document and take a lot of pictures of. But I also ended up taking a lot of video of them when we went. They were kind enough to have me on tour when they did a Southwest tour, and they ended up going to South by Southwest. And man, it was an amazing trip, and it was one of the best times of my life. And I took a lot of video. And with the intent of always putting something together as far as a documentary or a short film or something like that. And I've always imagined I have about almost 30 hours worth of film, and I think I could get that. I think I can get 15 to 20 minutes of a short film / documentary in done. And it's just a process of finally digitizing and getting it's on those little mini DVs, so I just need to process it and capture it onto an actual computer now, so that I can edit, and bam. Finally got all the tools I need to do that. So that's one of the next things on the to-do list for sure that I need to finally hash out. I need to finish also. Shout out to Grandpa Drew. I'm going to do I took a lot of photographs still from our trip. And I'm just look through these because I'm archiving some things finally, and I need to finish at least a photo book for Grandpa Drew from a trip to Mexico that we did 2018 summer, June 2018. That Grandpa Drew was in the Flim Flam review. They were so gracious to take me on that trip to document as well. And I meant to finish that book a lot sooner, but fucking shit happens, and then you drink coffee with hot chocolate. So that's the plan. Those are the first two major projects that I want to do, along with something else I'm going to talk about here in a second. But yeah, the thing is this, man. Again, I had this whole idea of getting down and serious about the creative process and hypocrisy and what our responsibilities are. But I'm not going to fucking sugarcoat it for you, man. There's a lot of things happening out there that aren't fucking vibing right now. You dig what I'm saying? I mean, there's a lot of shit happening out in the world. And if you just fucking, I was going to say pick up a newspaper, but who the fuck does that anymore? I mean, you can go on your Twitter feed, you can go anywhere and be really disappointed with what's going on any way you slice it. It's just too much, man. If you take a John Donne approach to fucking life, the death of anyone diminishes you, and it weighs heavy for a little bit, and then compound that with a lot of other shit that's happening too, and a lot of rhetoric that's being fucking tossed around. It just fucking, you know what? I wasn't feeling getting down and serious and fucking talking about. It's not dark, but at the same time, I felt more levity was appropriate in a situation like this. If for anything to get my mind, and hopefully your mind or anybody else's mind away from what's happening in the world. And I fucking picked up another topic that has been coming up here frequently for the last few weeks, just in case you guys, in my personal network of my little slice of heaven here. And it is, and it's something that I've spoken about before in other podcasts, and I've told you. And that porn is one of the last true free expressions in art. And I do think porn is art, man. And I've talked about this before. And don't worry, I'm not going to sit here and talk about sexual positions or anything like that. I'll leave that for another podcast. But I do want to talk about something important that I did learn from OnlyFans. If you guys don't know what OnlyFans is, well, shit, let me just get right into this in a second. Hold on. Take a sip of this motherfucking coffee and get at it. And one of the reasons I decided to, I've talked about this in another podcast that I'm a part of, the Sick Ass Fool podcast, and which if you follow my Instagram, my Twitters, you guys know that you guys are probably sick and tired of the feed and the posts that I do there. I've talked about OnlyFans there just about like every fucking episode for like the last 3 or 4 episodes talk about OnlyFans. But what's very interesting is that my cousin started his podcast, shout out to the Neighbor Fool Watch program, and they started talking about OnlyFans, all right? And OnlyFans is very apropos during this business time. And during these difficult times for making business or generating some money, I think as a model or a potential model. All right, let me go in this. First and foremost, let me talk to all you innocent little birds out there who are fucking clueless as to what OnlyFans is. All right, so OnlyFans, in a nutshell, is a super sexier version of Instagram. All right. So whatever you can't post on Instagram, you have free reign on OnlyFans. Now, what OnlyFans does is you can set up subscriptions. It can be a paid site. Most of the time, it is a paid site. That's the whole thing for it. If you are a model and you can't go, here's the most common application that I've seen during these times are strippers who can't go to the club anymore open up an OnlyFans so that they can generate income that way. And I've seen a couple of models or potential models who were probably on the fence of shooting nudes that they now have an avenue, and let's just say the necessity to generate more income. So they've opened up on OnlyFans and blessed them for doing so. All right. So it's a porn site that you can support your friendly local neighborhood model in realizing her dreams and her Amazon wish list. All right. The thing with OnlyFans, it's however erotic you want it to be. There are OnlyFans there that are non-erotic at all, and there are OnlyFans that are non-nude. And you're just basically, if you like seeing your favorite model just in a bikini and lingerie and want to help her along her way and support her during these difficult times, you can do so. So my cousin and what I was going to bring up is that my cousin basically outed himself on his podcast, saying that yes, he's a subscriber. He has subscribed. So I thought I'd do him a little solid and join him in solidarity. As far as yes, I too prescribe to OnlyFans, mostly for research purposes and business practices as well. If you guys know, I do have the Red House magazine side of my photography. And if you actually want to go into detail, and if you're really interested on how Red House, on how OnlyFans work, I just did a podcast on that, and that episode is up and running. So if you are really interested in starting your own business from home and really want to get into OnlyFans, it's for boys and girls. It's for everybody. Even if you're a photographer who's done some sort of things, you can do that too. So anyways, that is that podcast is available to you at the Red House Podcast. So yeah, go check that out if you want details on it. I am again, I've been using OnlyFans for a while, and I follow a lot of models to see what works best and what doesn't, and what I like, what I don't like, and things like that. Anyway, the whole thing about the OnlyFans is that, again, it's another way to generate business. Now, what also sparked the conversation that I wanted to bring up here today is that I was talking to a nail artist yesterday, and she was, I don't want to say her name because of what we talked about, but I think this happens to a lot of people as well, especially a lot of us here that make appointments and people flake out on us. But we were talking about how people flake, what my rules for people that flake are, and which you guys you go back a couple episodes, I've talked about flakes and things like that. But what was surprising to me is that she has to deal with flakes just as much as I do as a photographer, and the basically people not showing up when saying that they will, or worse, not paying you what you guys agreed upon before too, because that's fucked up. But I was a little amazed at how that happens, not just in photography. It probably happens with a bunch of other things too, maybe hair salons and shit like that. I know that once upon a time I was taking golf lessons from a golf pro, and I didn't flake out all the time. I made it most of the time, but there was a couple times where I couldn't make it, and I did just call and I go, "Hey, I'm not making it today. Have a good day." And it's like, dude, I totally, fucked that one up. But this was years and shit. This was fucking 15 years ago. Maybe, yeah, 15 years ago, where I was taking golf lessons and doing all that jazz. Maybe even more. Anyway, the whole reason that sparked is because of value. People don't value your time. People don't value your artwork. People don't value your content. And this is one of the things that I wanted to bring up that I learned from OnlyFans as well is that it just doesn't happen to artists and such. Creating content is in a weird way what a lot of us do anyway, whether you're making music, painting, making photographs, and or building a deck. In a weird way, if we get down to brass tacks, we're making content in one way, shape, or form, and we would like to be valued for that content. And the way that OnlyFans is run is you basically name your price for whatever content you think it's worth. You can establish there's like complete freedom as to how you want to run your page. You can either run it by a monthly subscription, or you can run it as a pay-per-view sort of thing. If you put up a set and you go, all right, this set or this video is worth this much, or you can do a combination of the two. And the whole time, OnlyFans also allows you to go live. It allows you to make I can post this podcast on my OnlyFans, no problem. And which is probably actually something I'm going to do with the other podcast, the Red House podcast, is what I'm going to post on there. But point is that there's a lot of freedom to start your own business with that, unlike any other sort of a page or website that I've seen come along. Like, as a photographer, there's been these sites that come along. They go, hey, put your work here, we'll sell it for you, and you'll get paid this much. Or, hey, put your work here, we'll promote you, and it costs you so much. And your content, to a certain extent, is devalued a little bit, in my opinion, because you're always in a constant battle with how much you think your art is worth, which is how much is selling it for, and how much people are willing to pay for it online. And I'm not talking about collectors. I mean, as far as the photography viewpoint on my side, photographers that shoot for collectors, I believe, are doing just fine. There are photographers that are lucky enough to have a group of people that collect their work, and they're willing to pay top dollar for that work, as long as it's printed professionally, high quality, mostly platinum palladium prints, and with archival. Very rare do I see collectors buy stuff that's printed on printers, inkjet printers. But there's some out there. I mean, you can, depending on who it is, or depending on the type of printer that it's done on, I suppose. But for the most part, collectors are still buying shit from the darkroom. Maybe one day I'll have Hidden Light on here, and remotely, of course, and I have Matt, and we'll talk about collectors and the differences and how people collect photography prints and how that is still a thing in the 21st century. But having online content is, in a way, I mean, let me go on a tangent here for a second. Online content and how it devalues your work. I think a perfect example right now is music. All right. So there's beef with, let's just say that there's this company that starts with an S and ends with Phi. And they've just signed a multi-million-dollar deal for a podcaster, not music. They didn't sign an artist. They didn't sign for an album. They paid a fucking podcaster, which they've done before. But this podcaster is making $100 million over 10 years. I believe those are the details of I believe those are the numbers to the contract. There's probably other incentives as well. And Spotify, SFI, whatever, paid them a bunch of money so that they could exclusively carry the podcast on their network or their whatever you fucking call it. Now, I mentioned this. I sent out a tweet where I'm like, dude, if I was a musician, I would take this as a fucking slap in the face. Because one of the things that Spotify has always maintained is that there's no money to pay the musicians for the music, and this is as much as we can pay, and it's a quarter of a penny at a time, and we can't pay you for fucking this and this, that, and the other. As I understand it, I don't care how the business model works. Bottom line is they're saying that there's no money, and this is how much the market could bear, and yet they're signing fucking a podcaster who doesn't make music, and all he does is talk in a microphone with somebody else and smokes pot at the same time. I'm not trying to belittle that guy's podcast. He just happens to be the number one podcast in the history of the world. But they paid that cat $100 million. That says a lot. That at least tells me that there's money there. But the content that made that company was devalued. I mean, if somebody explains to me how that makes sense, I'm all for it. But if Spotify wants to get on here, well, you can pay me first before you get on the Common Rule podcast, motherfucker. My point is that as musicians, we know, I'm not a fucking musician. As musicians, I'm sure you guys know that through online, through the internet, music has been devalued a lot. And there are some companies like CD Baby, off the top of my head, that are really trying to get the artist their due amount as much as they can and not try to cut people's profits. But it's hard. It really is. I mean, there's only, in my opinion, there's only so much you can do at that point, because I guess, I mean, there's a buddy, well, he's not my buddy, I'm sorry. He's Prof. He's I had a interview with him a few episodes ago here on the Common Rule. And how many times am I going to say the fucking Common Rule? Sorry, I apologize. But he's been on here, and he's a local hip-hop artist, and he just released a record. And I was talking to his wife, and we were talking about how, is a CD necessary? Is it not necessary? Because he released all his music digitally, of course, which is what the normal practice is right now, right? You make a record, you release it on all major labels or all major platforms, Spotify, Google Music, which will probably end up being Google, YouTube Music, and of course iTunes / Apple, and with other avenues as well too, I guess, because now it's just so easy to distribute your music that way. Now, the idea is, that you want listeners, right? But you're not going to, as opposed to before all this happened, you used to get paid to make an album, and somebody, it's just, you guys know the drill. It's different now. And we were just talking about hard copies. And, in my opinion, it's like, I don't know, the only hard copy worth releasing anymore is actually vinyl, to where I'm kind of biased to where, yes, vinyl, I love the way vinyl sounds, but you have a nice big 12-inch square where you can see the artwork, and you can see the photography involved, see the artwork involved, and really appreciate, album covers and album artwork again. Which I think, anyway, as I fucking digressed, my whole point was that OnlyFans has allowed models and sex workers a way to value themselves and be able to put out content in a really, streamlined way, to where, in my opinion, I don't think the cut that OnlyFans takes is crazy. They take a decent amount of cut for providing a platform for people to create content. And I just wish that sort of thing was available to more people, and to different content creators, artists and such, to where, hey man, I have a platform. And it kind of is. I mean, you can, as a photographer, you can go on Smug Mug, but the problem is that, let's just say a musician there isn't a platform where they're like, okay, so if you pay for the album, I'm going to get you X, Y, and Z. I'm going to get you a nice package as far as like videos, or you can get tickets or anything like that. Like the platform isn't like universal. You have to join their fan clubs from the way that I see it. And if you guys know a different way that specifically musicians can interact, let me know. But like I belong to the Pearl Jam fan club. If you pay your annual fee, you have they give you a gift every year, and it's usually what they call a Christmas single, which doesn't fucking end up coming around till June the following year most of the time. But they definitely come through with that. Sometimes they throw in a T-shirt, and you have priority to tickets when they go on sale before the general public does, and you get the best seats. And this is what they throw in their value as far as, you know, the content. And you usually get a free CD of any kind, whether it's a bootleg or something else. But that's what they do on their own. I wish there was something for smaller musicians. Not small. There's no small parts, only small people, right? But I wish there was something that, as artists, that you can have a platform that's readily available to you, that you can be promoted with. Because again, OnlyFans is crazy right now. You know, it's who doesn't have an OnlyFans? Man, I think you should have an OnlyFans. But they and of course, you know what, I'm not under the delusion that it's not sex that sells. You know, I understand that there's a it's clear. I get it. You want to see the nudes, you want to see the T, you want to see the A, you want to see all the beautiful things in between, right? But there has to be a different platform for people who want to create content. And a lot of this stuff started with Patreon, of course, but I don't like the way that their business model is working. I have my issues with that. But with OnlyFans, again, you have complete freedom with what you want. And it works the exact same way as just about any other business. You have value in the content, and the thing with OnlyFans is, like, I think in order to have in my observation, the most successful pages tend to have its pricing versus content versus quality versus consistency of content and interaction, of course, which is, you know, what happens in any sex thing. You know, whatever you want, there's a certain fantasy that gets fulfilled. Hey, boy and girl, by the way. So, you know, I'm not just trying to single out just female models. There's a lot of male models in there too that are making a decent penny as well. Aside from photographers, is what I'm saying. Male models, you know. But what I am learning is that it's not that much different from myself and the photography, to where I'm also looking for a balance of what the value of my work is versus what is selling versus what the market's going to allow versus the quality of content, all that bullshit. And what I, hopefully in a microcosm, what I've understood is this. Again, I love, you know, you guys seen my other work. You know, I love shooting nudes, and I love that type of work as well. But what happens with OnlyFans is that at the end of the day, it really is an amateur site for the most part. Very few models on there are posting high quality content. It's mostly just a model, her cell phone, and a ring light. You know, a small business operation sort of thing. The models that have a higher end production, that have their own cameraman, that have lighting, that have locations, those are usually porn stars that already have access to all those things and can generate that kind of content. And especially when they have other either female or male co-creators, let's just say, to be able to create such content together. And of course, that's not available to everybody in a super quality, high quality product or in a super high quality way. Let's say I fucking just had a brain fart. But anyway, but what is available is simple stuff. But that's not to say that you can't work with other. Here's the fault that I see with OnlyFans, which is just kind of in the microcosm, spreads out to possibly some of us here too, that you can create better content if you create it with others. And there's the most successful ones seem to understand that, and they've created a community to where they are constantly working with each other. Aside from just creating their own content, they create with either another model, another photographer, another makeup artist, and they create content together. And those seem to be the most successful OnlyFans pages, where I can see that they're not always offering discounts on their pages. They're not always begging for money, like, hey, you motherfuckers, blah, 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 sort of thing. Because, hey, some of the people don't understand customer service and have been having it their own way for a long time at the strip club. And then all of a sudden, they got to instill some common business practices, let's just say, and they kind of lose it a little bit, you know? The more and more that content is being created with other people and it's being produced in a more creative fashion, those seem to be like the ones that flourish the most, in my opinion, thus far. I've been on OnlyFans for a while. I follow a lot of models, and I follow both professional and amateur models. And I'm not about to tell them, hey, you should run this, you should do that, because everybody's their own business, right? Everybody's human. What works for them works for them. If they're interested in generating a lot of money, that's one thing. If they're happy just generating what they can post whatever they want. But, you know, again, if you want the details to that, I just posted that up on the other podcast. But what the parallels that exist in that is that the more and more I see people not creating with other people, continuously posting the same things over and over again, have very amateur content, is the ones that I don't continue to follow, and I miss the higher production stuff more and more. Now, that's more or less something that I wish would translate to, let's just say something specifically like photography, to where like a wedding photographer, again, don't get me started on that, but I'm going to put this out. Like, let's just say a portrait photographer, a wedding photographer, where the market is so saturated with that, right? Where people really, I think in the beginning, don't care the type of content that they see. All they want is the goods, and that's it, right? Just like in OnlyFans, all you want is the goods, and you don't care what's being produced. But as you start looking at photographs more and more, and start really seeing that the cheap photographs ain't good, and good photographs ain't cheap, to steal a quote from Esteban Oriol, which, by the way, a documentary, LA Originals on Netflix, you guys should check that out. And that is a very well done documentary as well, and it's very interesting as to what happened to photography and what happened to tattoo artists. Dig that. Go in there and get that. But to steal his quote, again, to where cheap photographs ain't good and good photographs ain't cheap, where you start to see more and more, hopefully, in learning that, hey, man, it's better to pay a higher premium to get better content than it is to pay some for cheap that everyone else has, and there's nothing stands out on it, you know. And in a sense, this is what OnlyFans has really kind of broadened my. I would say it shows me how possibly other people think and how other people might be able to view other work and other type of content, as far as being able to maybe at one point when the market is so saturated with crap, they're going to start to appreciate good content and good creative whatever you produce. And the only way that we are going to get caught up on that, and this is something that I'm guilty of because of this whole Ronas thing and this whole thing, is that we need to continue to work. And I think it's times like these where especially we need to have, and I'm not saying to just create for create's sake, but just start to be able to say, hey, you know what? Let's get off our asses. Let's do something today and make quality work instead of just, oh, you know what? I'm just going to do this today. And I think just overall take a more serious approach to what we create. I mean, this is what I looked in. Again, I'm not trying to tell you what to fucking do. It's your fucking life. It's your fucking creative process. But what I took away from it is that, yeah, I just need to stick to my guns. Create the content that I create. Make sure it's quality content as far as the way that I express myself and the way that I am technically savvy, and be able to just stay on that path. And hopefully eventually the quote unquote market or whatever, if that's what you intend to do with your work, will catch up and go, okay, you know what? I'm going to start collecting some of this work. At the end of the day, though, don't start creating crap just because it's going to sell. You know, make good content and stick to your guns. And that's fucking basically it, man. The OnlyFans is if I wouldn't say it taught me anything new per se. Well, there's some things that you can do with these with a camera and never mind. But I mean, angles I never thought of. Man. Anyway, but it just does bring it to the forefront, especially me right now, where I haven't fucking made a photograph on my camera in, I think the last photograph I took was a portrait of in December, maybe. I think that's the last photograph I've taken, and the roll is still in the fucking camera and it's sitting right here next to me. I haven't made a photograph, and I haven't developed a roll. I still have like 10 more pictures I need to fucking take on that roll. And it's just that I'm not going to make excuses and say, hey, you know, this, that, and the other. And it's just like podcasting. Where there's a will, there's a podcast, you know. Where there's a will, there's a photograph. And it's just time to get off your ass. Or it's time to get off my ass and start creating and fucking making a photograph of something or someone. Now. All right. Man, I rambled on enough. Thank you so much for listening. I hope I didn't perv out on you too much. But yeah, you know what? Cousin out there, I don't want to say your name in case you are really embarrassed about your OnlyFans story. But yeah, man, it's good to support your friendly neighborhood stripper and check out what, you know, all the talents are within us. All right, guys, I'm going to watch something on the Netflix. I think I got one more episode of Hunters, that Al Pacino fucking thing, where they kill the Nazis. Yeah, that's a good one. We'll see how that ends. Do I have one more? I think I have one more episode. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. You guys say, man, stay safe, wash your fucking hands, and enjoy your youth.